Hello and welcome to Game Logic Design. My name is Kent and today we're going to be going over a new plugin called Paintbrush. This brush is based on top of the sculpting system, and so you'll have all the same abilities as the sculpting brushes, but instead of sculpting it's going to paint. So what I'm doing here is I'm just setting up a material on a sphere, and one thing to make sure that this plugin works quickly is that you need to change the texture preview size to no scaling. Otherwise, it's going to do some scaling of the texture and display that sampled down version in the viewport. And what we want is the high resolution version in OpenGL. So this brush is going to do real-time projection painting and stay in the OpenGL viewport. So now I'm going to just quickly switch over here to a custom layout. Now this custom layout here is just the same as body paint, except I've just added in a couple of new brushes. So let's select the first brush here. And before we can actually begin painting, we just need to make sure that body paint is set up. So we enable the material, and then we make sure we've got the channel selected that we want to paint on there. In doing so, it automatically switches to the regular body paint brush, which you can actually paint in here. So that's body paints on surface brush there. But we're going to switch over to the new paintbrush, which based on the sculpting system, it will enable you to do everything the same as a sculpting brush does with all that same power. So here in the attribute manager, you can see all the same settings that you would get if you were using a sculpt brush. But instead of sculpting, we can do some painting. So you can see straight off there, it's automatically using the pressure sensitivity to readjust the size or the pressure of the brush there, one or the other. Let's have a look. It's adjusting the pen pressure and it's adjusting the pen size. I've set this up previously, so a light touch will just do a small brush, and then as you go harder, you get a more solid brush. So those are your basic settings, your pressure and size, and you can adjust these the same as you would any other brush in the sculpting system. And you've also got X, Y, and Z symmetry and all that stuff as well, but we'll go into symmetry in more detail later on. You've got your steady stroke here, so if you're doing a stroke and you want to have a slightly bit of lag on there, you can do that and have a bit more control over it. Now, spacing is quite interesting with painting, so we can have spacing, and let's just crank this pressure all the way up here, and let's do some dots. And let's maybe make it all the way up. So we're doing some dots there. And because this is a brush, the sculpting style brush, it has the same kind of fall off settings, so we can adjust this fall off. We'll just make a nice little pattern by just control clicking here and make a little kind of circular dab looking thing. And as we do, we're going to get those on there. And you can see it updating over here in the texture view for that surface. Let's just reset that. We'll go back here, and we've got edge detection. Now, edge detection is new to R17, and what it enables you to do on the painting system is basically flood fill a portion of the model based on the curvature. So let me just turn off the X there, and we've just got one brush there. I think I've got Z enabled too. We'll just undo that. And now we'll go up here and we'll turn on edge detection, and if I just do a click here, you see it just flood fills all the polygons up until the edge that you have set here, the angle of the surface. So if I click there, it's less. Go even further down, it's going to be less. And if we go all the way up here, it's going to do quite a lot. So that's just something simple to have there for doing some filling. And now we've got, before I go into the draw modes, I'm just going to go into just a couple of extra things here. We've got a fill full polygon option. So when I enable this, what it's going to do is it's going to fill the polygons that you touch with texture. So that's just kind of another nice way of doing things. And actually respects the precious value here. So if I turn that down and scale that up a bit, you see it's kind of, as it gets into the different polygons, it's going to fill them slightly with a bit less pressure value. So up until now, we've been drawing just with the freehand brush, but we have a couple of other options under this draw mode here, and we'll choose line as the draw mode. Now if I click and click, we're going to get a line drawn on the surface there. And if I change it to lasso fill, we're going to get a lasso fill on the surface there. Polygon fill, you click and you get a polygon drawn on your surface. And rectangle fill, where you can drag out a rectangle. And these also work in symmetry, of course. So if you do drag on one side, it's going to drag on the other. And you've got the option over here to fill with back faces as well. So if I just turn off X there, and if I do a fill here, let's do a small one. I'm going to do a small one. So that's a small one, but all the faces on the opposite side of this model also got texture. And because we're in perspective mode, obviously it ends up grabbing a lot more. So these options are the same as like the sculpting system. So you can use fill back faces as well. Now, this also supports the stencils. So it works beautifully with stencils actually. So if you want to rectangle fill an area, or select a part of a stencil, you can just use these to select that. But we'll show you that later when we go over the stencils system later on.